Hello and welcome back to the next episode of Demonicast here. And I'm here with Taylor here from Sentient. And I just want to say welcome. And I
What's
hope
up?
you're
What's
having a
going
good
on?
day.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So yeah, to begin, you are a international band from like you're based in Japan in Tokyo, but how did like everyone end up and meet basically? How did that band like came to be?
Yeah, it's a funny story. Generally, the metal scene in Japan, it's pretty small, and everyone tends to know one another, and everyone's been in a band with someone at some point.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you are a foreigner playing metal music in Japan, you've probably met everyone in the scene at least once, probably. But
Oh,
I was originally from Los Angeles, like I'm born and raised out there. But my mom, she's half Japanese, and my grandpa's full Japanese. So he has a company out here. He makes like fish oil supplement, like vitamins.
oh, cool.
And so he's been doing this business for like 10 years, and I forget what year it was. It was probably around 2017, 2018. His business started to do really well, but his like investors or partners or whatever, they were a little bit worried about his age because he's older. So they were like, we want to do long-term business. What's the deal? So he asked me, he was like, would you be interested in moving to Japan and trying out working for me and showing these guys like I have a grandson that could be a potential replacement for me in the
Oh,
future type of thing. And I was like, yeah, I'm down to give it a shot. And so I came out and started working for him, and it actually coincided with it was around spring 2018, I think. I'm actually friends with the guys in the band Bad Omens, and
oh,
yeah, they're like real good friends of mine. And so in spring 2018, they did their first tour in Japan, and so I was recording a different project with them at that time, actually. And I was like, oh, I'm moving out to Japan, and I just happened to be going out there when they were going out to do their tour. So when they came out, I was able to hang out with them. I met a lot of really cool people. At one of the shows, I met this other American guy, a guy named Brandon. And like I said, there's not a lot of foreigners out here in Japan. So one day I was after that show that I had met him at on a separate occasion, I was at like a rehearsal studio type of place, and I saw Brandon outside, and I was like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I know that guy." So I walked up and I was like, "Hey, didn't I meet you at the Bad Omens show?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to practice with my band, and we're actually looking for a vocalist." And I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm a vocalist. You want to try doing something?" And at first he kind of like shrugged me off. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're a vocalist. Okay, I'm sure you're really good." And I was like, "No, dude, let's go have a beer or something. I swear, like I'm the real deal, man." He was like, "Yeah, okay." So we went and sat down, had a beer, and talked a little bit. And they were like, send us some demos, send us some recordings of you singing. And so I sent them some stuff, and it wasn't even an hour, I think. Like within the hour I sent it to them, they were like, "Yo, do you think you could come in next week for some practice?" And the tone changed immediately. They were like, "Oh, he's actually good. He wasn't lying." And
that's
so
really cool.
yeah, and so the other guys, so Brandon, I think he works for a Japanese company. He's been out here longer than I have. He's been in Japan for about 5 years. He's our I guess he'd be considered the rhythm guitarist. And then
Okay.
Tyler, who I guess you would call the lead guitarist, he's actually an architect, and he works for an architecture company out here in Japan. And
Holy
he's been
shit.
out here for around the same time. Yeah, he's been out here for around like 5 years. And then our drummer D Duffman, he's his wife is Japanese, and so he moved out here with her around the same time as the rest of the guys did, like 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that now. But so that's, we were all just kind of like displaced metal musicians that, we were just in Japan looking for other, metal guys that didn't speak Japanese, and we're just kind of here for reasons that didn't have to do with music. And so they found me, and I did a couple practices with them, and they were trying out a couple other people, but I mean, it was all pretty obvious pretty quickly that it was like I was the guy, and we all like we clicked really well, and I like recorded some vocals for some demos that they sent me, and those vocals that I wrote, they ended up becoming like it's on our first EP, the Salt and Light EP, like the songs Sleepwalk and Cascading.
That's
Those are
really
the two.
awesome.
Yeah, those are the first two songs they sent me, and like they didn't really change too much from the demo. So, things were always pretty smooth from Sentient from the beginning.
All right, that's really, really awesome. And since there is so like few foreigners in Japan, what is it like not speaking Japanese? Is it like hard to like if you go to the store and stuff
Well,
in some places?
it's funny because like when I first came out to Japan, I was working for my grandpa, and he just wanted me to learn the business first, like how it's actually made, and understand what I was, becoming a part of. And so after after I got like, familiar with like the actual work of it all, then he was like, well, you're going to need to learn the business side of it all, how to read and sign contracts and speak at business meetings and blah, blah, blah. So he was like, now your job is to become fluent at Japanese. And so, yeah, I enrolled in a Japanese school though. And so I went to a Japanese school. It was about, I think like a year and a half, maybe I went. And so that got me, I'm conversational with my friends, and I can say most of what I want. I think my biggest problem is understanding other people fully. Like I do a lot of guessing. Like I'll catch words, like maybe like 40, maybe 50% of what people say to me.
Yeah,
I'll
because
catch
they
it and then
can
I'll be
speak
like,
pretty fast, right?
oh yeah, yeah, they speak very fast. And so, I'll string the words that I do understand together. And that lets me be able to kind of guess what they're saying to me. And our drummer D though, I mean, he's been married to his wife for a while, and he actually like worked at a bar in Japan for a little while. So his Japanese is probably the best out of the band. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
it
we
must been hard in the beginning with like trying to get know where to go and stuff with signs and everything being just like the
yeah.
symbols, just like, okay, I'm
Well,
here.
luckily, the modern day, you got iPhones and all
Yeah.
that, so it's pretty easy to maneuver around that stuff. But where we did have problems was like doing music business stuff out here, like trying to book shows and stuff like that. So our solution to that was we would find, or we still have full Japanese members that join the band. Like it's usually they fill a guitar player slot or a bass player slot.
Okay.
Like right now our bass player is this guy Naoki, really great guy. He's young, he's like 20, and he's
Oh,
been in the band, like I think he's been in the band for a while now. It's probably coming close to about a year. And he joined, and like I said, we had some other like fill in members, but it was obvious again, like he just got along really well with the band, and amazing bass player. So I mean, yeah, we once we get these members that are full Japanese, we're always kind of, it becomes their duty responsibility as well to be like, oh, we got this email that we can't read, so it's your job to tell us what it says, and also to craft a reply from what we tell you.
yeah, yeah.
So we have our makeshift translators like that, and that helps us.
What's the creative process like? Who does like lyrics and stuff like that? And how do you like begin with songs? Do you like start with building a riff or drums, or what do you
Right,
begin with?
well, I think for the most part a lot of it starts with our lead guitar player Tyler. He writes a lot of our material, like most of it, I think. I mean, guitar wise.
Okay.
But our other guitar player Brandon, he also writes some stuff. Like I think I forget which one he did on our newest album. I think Crawl. But
Oh,
so he those two guys, they usually come up with a very simple demo that's most of the time just guitar and maybe some simple drums on it. And then usually then they'll send that demo to our drummer, and he'll like, write the actual drum track of it and, program it out with whatever drum program he uses. And then that's when the demo finally gets sent to me, and I have, kind of the full song, how it's going to sound in front of me.
yeah.
And then I just kind of sit down with it, and I'll just listen to it, and I just start like, you know singing random stuff, like whatever. Like I just try to let it flow really naturally, and just kind of follow the direction that sounds good. Like, oh yeah, that's cool, I'll do something more like that. Or that's not so cool, maybe something more like this. Like, and I just kind of let the song write itself in a sense. Like I don't try to force it to be anything. I just, like, sometimes I don't even know what the song's going to be about until like it's done. And then I try
Okay.
to like, it's almost like I'm the listener, like a fan. Like I try to find my own meaning. Like what did I mean in this song? Other times it's more straightforward, and I just tell stories or something. But that's the fun thing about Sentient. Like it's really just like I don't have to worry about trying to be something. Like we're all just being creative and experimental, and sometimes we get really weird with it, and we never discourage that. So I think that's something that's really cool about Sentient.
What do you think your biggest like strength as a band is slash like weakness, if you have any?
I mean, I think our biggest strength is I think we all just like really understand what we want to do and like what we're about, and we all really like trust each other. I think like
Oh yeah,
no
that's
one's
important.
scared to say like I don't like that. If someone doesn't like something, they're gonna say it. And we're all adults, so we're able to be like, okay, maybe if I change this or something like that, and then like so we're able to really discuss songs without fear of insulting someone or being rejected or anything like that. So I think that's a really big strength for Sentient, and it improves our music a lot. And weaknesses, I mean, yeah, that's a hard one to think about weaknesses, but I think it might just be, as like most bands, just like financial stuff. Like we're an independent band, so we don't have a bunch of money to put into all of this. And so, sometimes it's like, oh, it'd be awesome if we could just go into an expensive studio with a professional producer, and he presses all the buttons and we just have to go in there and perform. But
Yeah.
most of what we do, or all of what we do for the most part, is like self-produced. We do everything
Oh,
in-house. Yeah.
that's
So
awesome.
it was
Must be
just only
hard
our
though.
first, it's hard, but we enjoy it, and it's a learning process. And yeah, it's all worth it in the end. Like we get to like watch or listen to ourselves grow in a way, like progress.
Yeah, I mean, the whole new album is amazing. I mean, you saw, and
Thank you,
I don't
man.
know if you saw my reaction to it. Yeah, you
Yeah, I
did.
watched it. I was really enjoying. I was enjoying watching you like battle the ads after every song. You
Yeah.
kept having it come up, and you were
Uh,
getting so frustrated. I loved it. You were like, "Oh, this is a great song," and then just a big fart noise comes at the end of it. I was laughing a lot. I was like, "Yeah, these." You're Swedish, right? You're in Sweden.
yeah, I'm in Sweden.
Yeah, I was like, these Swedish YouTube commercials are crazy, man.
Yeah, it's all of these stupid mobile game ads. It
Right,
drives me
right,
crazy.
right.
Like you listen to a song and you're really into it, and then it's just a random fucking fart noise, and then it's like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, that was really entertaining, man. I was enjoying that. We've had some other people in the past like react to us, or not even with Sentient all the time, just like previous experiences. But you can get the guy who just sits there with no emotion, and at the end of the song, he's like, "Oh, it's good." Like
Yeah.
that's always kind of bums you out. It's a little disappointing. So we all really enjoyed watching your reaction because it
Oh,
was genuine.
yeah.
We were really happy to see the feedback.
Yeah, I'm trying to like be as genuine as possible, and yeah, I like pretty much all metal and stuff like that. But like really notice when there's a lot of passion and talent behind the music, and yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
thanks, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, actually, it was Mio that showed me you guys on a stream.
Yeah, Mio is incredible. I don't know how we met her. I think she's a friend of someone in the band, or I don't think they started as friends. I think she was just a fan at first, but
Yeah, I
she has
basically met
been
her. Like we both are in the community for Orion Reacts.
right, right.
That's
Yeah,
how I met her.
yeah, not just Orion, but she's been plugging us to a lot of reaction people. Like I don't know how we got so lucky to have her, but she's like our publicist basically at this point. Like we were all talking like we gotta send her a t-shirt or something. She's doing too much for us. We need to repay her in a way.
I think she would basically die. She's been
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, she just
we're gonna do it for
before the
sure.
podcast and all, she sent me, "Are you awake? Are you awake?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
she's
that's she's
awesome.
great. Yeah, we love her.
She really like got me into Japanese metal in the first place, to be
Yeah, that's
honest.
awesome. Like I said, it's a small community, so it's really tight knit and
Yeah,
like
like
it,
what's the metal scene like? I mean, you have baby metal that are basically like huge worldwide. Then you have like
yeah.
Dexcore, Deviloof, and some other bands. It's
Well,
cool.
bands like Baby Metal, like Baby Metal, they never started small. Like they were
Oh,
a project that had money behind it from the
yeah,
beginning, and they were like an investment basically. But bands like like Crystal Lake or
yeah,
those types of bands. There's like newer bands like Seagate or Falling Asleep. Like there's a lot of really good Japanese bands that have been doing this for a while, and it's not the easiest scene to try to do something meaningful in. So the people that are passionate are the people that stay around. So we all just start to notice each other at a certain point, like, oh, you're still doing it, good, good, me too. Like, so it's small, but there's a lot of talent here, and I think the thing that holds back the scene the most is just we have a hard time connecting to different parts of the world, or like the Japanese scene in general. Like there's the language barrier obviously, but also it's hard for bands to get out of Japan and go tour other places. And luckily Sentient has been fortunate enough. We got a big international audience just like randomly, like through like Instagram ads. Like just the algorithm worked in our favor for some reason. But
yeah,
yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest hurdle in the Japanese metal scene is just trying to get out of Japan.
yeah, pretty much. And it must be hard without like money backing. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's the main thing is like when you're just starting out in Japan, it's hard because like you don't really know what to do, you don't know who to ask, you don't know what's like the rules or the protocols.
yeah,
And
but
so a lot of people take advantage of that, and you just get stuck doing a lot of pay for play shows where it's like, oh yeah, you can play at our place as long as you sell 30 tickets or you give us $300, like type of stuff.
oh, okay.
And it's a place to start. It's not the worst thing in the world, but Sentient's getting to a place now where we can just rent these places like on our own and try to sell the tickets, like how would I say, like independently, not like something that's like put on through the actual venue, but something that we put on ourselves, if
Oh,
that makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah.
And so and then also you get offers in Japan too where it's like, oh, we won't pay you anything, but if you sell more than 30 tickets starting from the 31st ticket, you'll get 50%. Like they break it down like that,
Oh, okay.
so it's weird in Japan, the music scene sometimes, and playing shows. But the main thing is you just got to have confidence out here in Japan, because if you don't like, how would I say, if you don't like ask for self-respect, like they won't give you the respect.
Oh,
If they
yeah.
can rip you off, they will. Not not out of like some malice or, ill intent, but they're just, they're a business. They got to make their money.
Oh
They
yeah.
don't know who's going to actually sell tickets or sell merch or anything like that. So, the dollar's kind of the bottom line for a lot of these places. But,
Yeah.
as long as, you put on a good show, I think the tickets sell. So
Yeah, something
that's,
I've noticed, but like especially in Japan and with Japanese bands, is that they have very devoted fan bases. It's like whenever I react to like a Japanese band with some popularity, you get like full stories in the comments with like, okay, I now know everything about the band pretty much.
yeah, I think something about Japanese fans, they just get like, it becomes more than just, some music they like to listen to. Like
Yeah,
they can almost like develop a relationship with these bands in a way. And especially a band like Sentient, we're so like open and honest with our
yeah,
music and the meanings and stuff behind it. So, a lot of people gravitate to that. And, like you said, when
yeah,
the passion's there and it's genuine, like you can tell that when it's
yeah,
honest. And I think, people who feel that same way, like they notice that, and it's easy to start to have strong emotions for something like that. Like I think that's why we all started making music in the first place, is
mm,
because we all felt that same way about the bands we loved.
yeah. What are some of the like your inspirations? Like, what kind of music inspired you in the beginning?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I came into Sentient later. Like they had already been around for a little bit. Like they weren't Sentient that we know today, but they had gone through a couple different like incarnations. And so when I joined the band, they were kind of starting to write newer sounding material. And it was very kind of this progressive modern metal, kind of low tune, genty stuff.
Mm,
And I'm not really the standard vocalist for that kind of music. Like I didn't want to go in there and just start like, I don't know, showing off how much I could scream low or high or something like that. Like I wanted to write, like I wanted to sing first of all. Like their music always had really good melodies and just like atmosphere to it, and I wanted to like emphasize that. And so I come from a background of like I had older sisters that were 14, 15 in 2006, something like that. So I was listening to all the emo stuff like My Chemical Romance and From First to Last and Fall Out Boy. Like that that was me. Like I was kind of the pop punk emo world was all I was listening to. And I forget, it was around 2009, 2010, somewhere around there, where bands like Ask Alexandria and Attack Attack just blew up, and it was like metalcore was now the number one thing, like everyone loved it. And in a way it felt like a revival almost of that original emo scene of like Chiodos and Underoath and all that kind of stuff. So that was always kind of where I came from and the stuff I liked. And obviously you, as time goes on, your influences change and stuff like that. But I think, for me at least, I always wanted to do something more on that, post-hardcore, emo, screamo kind of spectrum. And I thought Sentient was a really cool, like base to start with because it was so not that. It was so, atmospheric, progressive metal. So I was like, if I can do some emo sing-along stuff on this is going to be really unique and awesome.
yeah. Oh my God, I
And I
forgotten
think
completely about Fall Out Boy. Holy shit, I used to listen to them a shit ton when I was
yeah,
younger, and I just completely forgot that they even existed.
yeah. Fall Out Boy
Damn.
is they're a little bit shameful now because they went down the pop route like most of those bands. That's why like
Yeah.
I still have so much respect for like My Chemical Romance because they're still out there. They're like 40, but they're still being emo and awesome. But Fall Out Boy are now pop stars, and Paramore pop stars, and Panic at the Disco. Like they all just went full pop and started making songs with Taylor Swift, which is not bad. I like it, but
Mm.
bring back the emo, please.
Yeah, I actually saw, what are they called? Chemical Vacation live a few weeks ago. Oh, pretty good, pretty cool.
Oh no way. That's cool.
Yeah, they have gotten old though. They
Oh
have gotten
no.
old. But it was fun to see them live. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What kind of bands do you listen to now? Like, is it still like metalcore?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the problem now that I think a lot of metal musicians have too is when you listen to metal music as a metal musician in a band, like it starts to become work for me at least, where I listen to other new metal bands, I'm kind of like, oh, that's really cool. I want to do something like that, or oh, I would have done that different, or I would have, I'm always just kind of listening, like, how would I do that, or how would I improve that, or how can I have help this improve my technique or what I'm doing. So, there's like all the old metal stuff I listen to, I still love, of course. And when a new big band like Beartooth releases a new song, like I'll still listen to that. Or I'm trying to think who else, like Loathe and Spirit Box and the new Bad Omens, obviously. Like I listen to all that kind of stuff, but I think in my everyday life, like I listen to more just like old, like classic rock kind of like I listen to like Beach Boys and Beatles and the Ramones, and I'm just like super chill. Like I think because like most of my life is doing metal music, like when I just want to listen to music and chill out and zone out, like it's just like spacey, hippie, acoustic folk rock. Like
Oh,
that's
oh,
where I get my
that's sick. Yeah,
yeah.
I really love like old Jimi Hendrix and Queen and
Yeah.
like Motley Crue are awesome as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Like my mom and dad, they were, in LA in the 80s, so like hair metal was just a part of my life. So, like
Ooh.
for as long as I can remember. Like my mom was a huge hair metal fan, and my dad was actually the guitar player in a hair metal band in the
Oh,
late
that's
80s,
sick.
early 90s. And so he did a tour with his band, and they did it in Japan like in the early 90s.
Oh,
And
damn.
yeah, so he always thought it was funny that I ended up out here because he had his own little bit of a history out here.
Yeah, but
So
that
that
is
was
really,
fun.
really cool, man. Like just going out to Japan and now just living there and having a band there, like getting having the childhood in America and then just living in Japan now.
Right,
That's
right.
really, really sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy all the time, but
No,
it's you know, it's awesome. You can't complain really. Of course there's times you miss home, or there's still bits of culture shock or whatever, but for the most part, like Japan is just so easy to live in. Like I think the main thing about living in Japan is everything's just so convenient. Like nothing's like too expensive for the most part compared to America, at least for me. And there's a convenience store every 10 minutes walking, and it's really just like if you want to just live an easy life, and if you never wanted to leave the house even, you wouldn't have to.
yeah.
And there's that's actually a problem in Japan sometimes, is these people who just spend their whole lives in their house because
Oh
it's so
shit.
possible and so easy.
Yeah.
So it's got its ups and downs, pros and cons, but I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, everything seems to be just like going on rails pretty much. Public transport is like on
Yeah.
point. Everything is just on point. It looks really clean and everything. It's just wow. It's just like so different
Yeah, I
from
think actual
everything you
like
know.
yeah, actual life and like living and stuff like that, like that's all pretty good. Like you said, it's all on point. Like it's more just like cultural stuff, I think,
Yeah,
where foreigners run into problems.
yeah. I mean,
Like, and for example, like Sentient runs into some problems sometimes because Japan really believes in like the grind and working hard and having a hard time to get your success.
mm,
So, Sentient, we've only been around since like 2019, and we got lucky a lot and had some songs pop off, or had an Instagram algorithm push us to a lot of people or something. And, sometimes that makes industry people or even other bands like respect you less because it's, oh yeah, you got lucky. Let's see you do it again type of attitude.
Oh,
So it's almost like the guy who's been there for 10 years and is still smaller than you somehow gets more respect just because he's, I don't know, less efficient. Yes.
well, that
That's the
kind
way
of
it can
sucks
feel
because
sometimes.
I mean, just because you're lucky getting your song out doesn't mean that you haven't worked hard on it. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. But so that's how they look at stuff sometimes. Like that's one of the cultural things that like can get in
yeah,
the way sometimes. Like it's very status out here sometimes in Japan. Like if they haven't heard of you, they don't care what kind of budget you have or what kind of audience you're working with. It's like, oh, but who did you work with? Who's recommending you? Who else is like vouching for you type of thing.
yeah, it's a lot with politeness too, right? In Japan,
Oh
with
yeah.
how to greet people and how to talk and how to behave and stuff like that.
Yeah, luckily, in the metal world, like from the get-go, it's kind of a crass genre, you could say, like it's not exactly like straight-laced business suit people working with this type of music. So, a lot of that type of stuff we don't run into problems with too much. And now we've all got Japanese girlfriends or fiancés that can help us craft our professional sounding emails. But I think in the metal scene it's harder to offend someone than you would think it is. It's more the difficult thing is getting their respect more than like displeasing them. Like
Okay.
yeah, it's not so much about like you brought up, like being polite
Yeah.
in our scene at least, but more so about, I don't know what's the right vocabulary I'm looking for. Just like someone to vouch for you is really what they care about. Like, oh, the the guitar player of Crystal Lake said that they're cool, so okay, we trust you now and we'll work with you. Like it's a lot of that type of stuff. Like I even know like out here tattoos are still kind of taboo.
Oh.
And if you can get in, start a relationship with a like an actual like good tattoo artist out here, like maybe someone who tattooed Yakuza or something like that. Even if you have the money to pay for a tattoo, they won't just tattoo anyone. Like it's like, oh,
Oh.
okay, I know you, blah blah blah, said you're cool, but before I tattoo you, we got to go out and get drunk together, and I got to see what you're like when you're drunk, and then maybe I'll tattoo you. And so it's stuff like that sometimes where in America it's like, oh, you got the money, okay, let's do this. Like that's how it works. But
Man,
in
that's so
Japan,
cool to hear about this like cultural differences. That's
yeah,
crazy.
it can be a bit much sometimes, but yeah, it's interesting. And figuring it all out is always fun, I guess you could say.
All
uh,
right, going on from like this respect and that whole thing. What are some of the like artists or bands that you would like to like collab with in the future?
wow, I mean, there's a lot of bands we really respect in Japan. Like on the new album we had on our song Waves, we had the vocalist from a band called Given by the Flames. He featured on it, our friend Will. And again, I actually met him on that Bad Omens tour I talked about earlier, the one
Oh,
in 2018. And his band was actually opening for Bad Omens on that whole tour. They were like the support for it. So that's how
oh,
I met him. So I've known him for a couple of years now, and we're pretty close friends. Like he stayed at my house before, I've stayed at his. And so he came to my house one day, and I was recording that Sentient song. And I was like, oh bro, check out this new song I'm working on. He was like, yeah, that's cool. I was like, you want to do this verse? Like I had the whole thing recorded, but I was like, this part, you want to do this part? I think it could sound cool if you did it. He was like, yeah, okay. And he just hopped up and, went into my closet that I converted into a vocal booth, and we tracked it, and that's what you hear on the album. And like
oh.
I sent it to the guys and I was just like, hey, my friend came over and he hopped on the track. What do you guys think? And everyone was just like, oh, this is awesome. And his band, they do pretty good. I mean, they're decent size in Japan. So we haven't played any shows in Japan since like before Corona, like all that COVID stuff happened.
Okay.
So it's been a couple years, and so we really want to play with Will and his band Given. Like we love those guys, and they always put on a good show. So we can't wait to collab with them. There's other bands like the band Seagate. I mentioned them earlier. They're really awesome. I think they're gonna be huge. Falling Asleep. They're another local metalcore band here in Japan, but I've seen them play live in like decent sized venues, like holds maybe 200, 300 people, and they get like the craziest audiences I've ever seen. And them and oh the band Hikage, they've been around for a little bit now, but they're really doing well. They just announced that they're going to be on one of the dates of Not Fest that's happening in Japan.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's like we're all proud of them. That I think that's the thing too with the Japanese scene being so small is once you form these relationships and these friendships, like I think we're really good at like not making things competitive or being like, oh, the blah 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 is doing better than me, so I'm upset. Like we're all really like your success is my success. Like we all want each other to do well. And so I think that's one of the good parts of having a small scene like this is we all really support each other.
Yeah, support and connect. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Are you planning like a tour now after the release of the album, or what's
Yeah,
next?
we were planning, we started practicing again, and we were planning on doing a tour in the springtime, but one of our members had some family stuff come up, and
Uh,
our drummer D, he's originally from England. And so he had a family member get sick and had to go out there and be with them, and I
that
think he just
sucks.
recently came back, like he was gone for a couple months. So we kind of had to put everything on pause, but definitely this year we're getting ready to start touring for sure. And I think by the summer at the latest we'll definitely be doing something at that point.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see now. What was I thinking about? Since you like are doing all of the production and everything with the band, like, but yourself, what would you like? What advice would you give to other bands that wants to like get on and move forward and stuff like that?
That's a really good question because I think it's something Sentient struggled with a lot too in the process of self-producing ourselves. And that was, sometimes you can't get too caught up in like making something perfect, especially when you're self-producing. It's like you're not gonna be, you know, what's his name, Ross Robinson or whatever overnight. You're not gonna be Joey Sturgis or whatever. So you gotta accept, you're never gonna be able to put it out exactly the way that you want it or make it perfect because that's impossible. You'll just never put out a song if you're waiting for it to be perfect.
Mm,
So it's sometimes you just gotta, oh, the song is good, not get too caught up in the guitar tone or how the snare sounds or the mixing or the low end or the high end, blah blah blah. Like sometimes you just got to trust that the song is good and people will like it, and maybe the technical aspect of it isn't as polished as you might want, but as long as the song is good and for the most part it sounds good enough for you, like you just got to have confidence that you're putting something good out. And then the other thing is you can't get too attached to demos or original ideas because I think the more people you have giving their input on something and giving their tips or what they think would make it cooler, like it can only be better.
mm.
And so, a lot of bands get caught up in, like I call it demoitis, where they just get so used to their demo and their original idea. Like if anything different comes along, even if it's better, they're like, well, that's not how I originally imagined it. And so, even with Sentient, we had problems like that when I first started, trying to be more involved creatively with the band, not just vocals. And sometimes it was like, well, you changed the song a lot. I don't really understand it. And I would just tell the dudes like, okay, like sit on it, sit on it for 2 days. And then if you still don't like it, we can talk about it more.
Mm.
And then, they'll 2 days will go by and okay, I get it now. This is better. I got used to it. Let's keep working on this. And so as soon as we all got really good at that, like trusting each other, or like we brought in my friend from one of my other projects. His name's Andrew Scott.
Mm.
And so he on our EP, the Red Sky at Morning EP, he did all the vocal processing for us. So like I sent him all the raw vocals and he, made everything sound good. And so then on this one, he did the same thing, all the vocal processing, but then he was also helping me with post-production stuff like synths and pianos and sound effects and all that. And he's just a genius. Like I I love that dude. He's like one of my best friends. So the coolest thing about working with him on this Sentient stuff too is he's always like, I'm Sentient's biggest fan. Like he's like, just let me join the band. He's always say that. He's like, I'll play keyboard, I'll play like the triangle, just give me a role. I want to be in Sentient, And so his additions that he added to the new album, like you mentioned, like you really like the storytelling, and I feel
Yeah,
like that was something that Andrew really helped to help us perfect.
yeah. And now I really want to see him on a triangle on one song.
Oh, that'd be
I just
great.
wanna see, I just wanna see him in the in the front of everything, just stand with it.
It'd be great, man. Just right
Oh,
before the breakdown, we'll just have him count in. Like that'd be
that would be
great.
hilarious. Oh
And
yes.
Andrew would do it 100% is the best part. He would
Oh my
give it his
God.
all. He would
Oh my God.
play
Please make
that
that happen.
triangle with all of his heart.
Oh, please make that happen. That would be amazing.
One of these days we will, and we'll give you exclusive video of it.
Oh yes.
You can break it for us.
uh, what are some of the songs like? What are your favorite song of Sentient, and what are your least favorite song of Sentient so far?
Oh, that's a good question too. I think favorite songs is hard because it's like songs I really like playing live, or I think if I, just boil it down to a simple answer, because I could just ramble talking about that for a long time. I think on the new album, the song Neon, we all really, really knew that was a special song when we were making it. And it's got a lot of everything about that song. I think we all love, like from the music to the lyrics to the meanings to everything. Post production, we have the guest feature from 333, the singer. It's actually the guest vocalist on that song is our guitar player Tyler, his sister. And
Oh,
we didn't even know that she was like a singer. Like she does her own music stuff. And then one day Tyler was like, oh hey, she's singing on this demo. And we were like, what the hell? She's amazing. She's great. Like so we got really lucky. But yeah, I still feel weird saying her artist name sometimes because I'm always just like, oh, the Abby. I'm always like, her name's Abby. And then I found out, I'm like, oh, sure. Her project's called 333. That's okay. And so I'm always kind of having to like, oh yeah, it's featuring 333. It's not it doesn't flow the most smooth off my tongue. But so yeah, I think Neon is a favorite just amongst the band and for me for sure. And least favorite songs, I mean, there's some Sentient songs that I I was going through hard times when I wrote some of them, and a lot of times I just wanted to leave everything on the track. And there's some songs where I just put all of my emotions and feelings into those songs, and in a way, like because I put them in the song, like I didn't have to carry them around with me anymore, and like it was almost like a diary or a safety deposit box or something. And so there's some songs, it's not, I would say I dislike them because I love them and I think they're great songs, but they in a way they make me uncomfortable because they take me right back, like, to what I was talking about. And some of the topics are really dark, and especially in a live setting, like,
Oh yeah.
we always value being genuine and being honest, like we said. So I don't just go up on stage and I'm not just, okay, this is my job, I just go up there, I do the screamy scream and I hop off. Like, it's almost like, like acting, or almost where it's like I go up there and I try to be as like honest and genuine with my performance as possible. And that can get emotional sometimes. Like, there's been a couple times at practices where it's just like we have to play the song 3 or 4 times in a night practicing it, and by the end of it I'm just like, okay, I don't want to be in this headspace anymore. And it could get rough like that sometimes, where it's just kind of, the music always
Mm.
comes out good with that, but it can be taxing, just emotionally, physically,
Oh
mentally,
yeah.
like. So I would say, for songs like that, like songs like Alone in Twilight, or our song, which one, I think it's just called Red Sky at Morning, like the title track of the EP. And yeah, there's just some where I just wanted to be upfront, like I wasn't wanting to be poetic or give anything like potential meanings. Like, I just tell stories, and
Mm.
it's easy to just go right back to what I'm talking about. So those songs sometimes can be just a little like, I don't need to go there all the time.
Oh yeah. They're
But
hard
I
to
think that,
listen to.
results in good live shows too. So
Mm.
again, pros and cons, gives and takes.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Since you said you liked Neon the best, I guess we could listen to that now.
Oh yes.
There's just one of our favorite ads here right now that I'm going to skip. Now
Just
I'm
a big
going
old
to.
go listen to Sentient.
Pretty much. All
Here's
right,
Neon.
let's see here. Uh, if I do share screen, share sound, then it should work. Neon featuring 333.
Yes.
Share. Now it should be. You can see it now, right?
Yes, I see everything.
Okay. And you hear it too.
Yes. Sounds good.
Perfect. Man, it just gives you chills, these vocals in the beginning.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Tyler, our guitar player, when he sent me the demo for this song, it didn't have his sister singing on it at first, and
Oh.
I liked the demo, but it didn't really hit me or strike me as anything better than what we usually would do. And I kind of just forgot about it and didn't work on it. And then he sent it again with his sister singing on it, and it was like, whoa, it changed everything. And I was so like excited to work on the song and flesh it out with her.
Yeah, that's very
And it turned out
understandable.
awesome.
That's such an atmosphere.
Yeah.
So much emotion in it. It's crazy. It's just so gorgeous.
Yeah,
It's just awesome.
she killed it. When Tyler and I started working on the post-production for this song, we both agreed we didn't want to do like a wall of sound type of thing with a lot of post-production going on.
Okay.
But we wanted to like craft a soundscape around this song. And this part in the song is one of my favorites because, I didn't want to add more melodies or stuff like that. So if you listen, you can actually hear the sounds of soldiers' footsteps in the background. But it's, with the same rhythm.
That's really cool.
So that's one of those like kind of storytelling elements that you talked about, like
just the ambience of this song is just amazing too.
I think this is like one of the best transitions we've ever written as a band right here. When both have tried, which will you pray?
Oh, it's just wholehearted. That transition is so powerful.
And again, I didn't write these vocals until after I had heard what Tyler's sister Abby wrote for her part. So it was really cool getting to play with her melodies and her lyrics she had already written because they were so good. So I couldn't write anything bad to begin with. Like she made it too easy for me to just follow and make it good.
Yeah, her vocals in this is just so amazing. It's crazy.
One of the things I think Sentient is best at and what really sets us apart is how well we are at controlling our dynamics, like going from loud to soft or, heavy, angry to this kind of soft, vulnerable, like sad almost,
Yeah, that's actually
one of my favorites.
what I was feeling like sad, vulnerable parts.
Yeah.
Really this song is just so crazy powerful. Like those transitions, it's just wow.
Yeah, we knew we had something special when we had the finished version of that song.
Yeah, wow, it's just so crazy.
Yeah, we love that one. We
hope
that
is just so powerful and crazy good. Really.
A lot of the band feels the same way too, is like making this album feels like a blur sometimes. Like some of these demos like are old, like years old. Like some of us have been working on these demos for like years, just couldn't make it work or was just waiting for the right part or someone added something to it. And sometimes it was just kind of like you go back and you listen to it after you write something and it's like, whoa, I didn't realize, like you just kind of naturally like stumble into like, how would I say, like inspiration, I guess, or like just there's something magical about this album, I think, where we all were just naturally following what we thought was cool, and the end product, like it came out better than any of us could have imagined. And people are having really good positive reception to it and feedback, and we couldn't be more happy that people are liking it. Because like when we first started doing stuff in Japan, like sometimes we would almost like fear releasing new music because it's like releasing new music to no feedback or no attention at all. It can be so like disheartening. So it'd be like, oh, we're putting out a new song on Friday. Let's hope our all of our parents and grandparents watch it, like all that type of stuff. So now that Sentient's like actually grown and we have a real fan base and people who care about the music, like like it's so much like motivation for us. For I mean, not it's just it's been amazing all around. Just having people actually dig it. Because that's something that most musicians worry about, even if they don't want to, or they don't want to admit that they do. But I would even say I prefer negative feedback to no feedback. I
Oh
prefer
yeah,
someone saying
because
sucks than
on
no
negative
one.
feedback you can like build on it. You can
Yeah,
grow from it.
exactly. You can get confidence from it, or maybe they're right and you can improve it. So
Mm.
yeah, I think just the fact that people are here and they're listening, and people like Mio feel so passionate about us, like we already feel like we're the biggest band in the world. Like we feel like we've made it. Like all still need day jobs and
Yeah, Mio is
can't put
just
a bunch of money.
fantastic. She's just the best. I really love her
Yeah.
because when I
Oh
hit
yeah.
I think it was 200 subscribers, she sent me
Mm,
like it is like fan mail. So I got
there
it
you
in the post
go.
and she made me this like black
That's awesome.
bracelet and like this other thing that I have in one of my hoodies that's like a
Mm.
skull and something that she made. And
Yeah, I
I
think I
I was
saw
just
that.
like, what the? I was like, what the hell? Huh? Fan mail?
Yeah, that's the best, when people are as passionate about listening to it as we
Yeah,
are about making it, like that's just the win-win all around.
yeah. And where do you see Sentient in the future? Like, how will you build on this?
Well, I mean, we definitely want to play as much as possible in Japan, but like I said earlier, I think the biggest obstacle for bands in Japan is getting out of Japan and
Mm,
building an audience outside of Japan. So we're coming from a weird situation where we already kind of have an audience outside of Japan,
mm.
and our audience in Japan is pretty small. So I
Oh,
think, we've got a good opportunity right now to actually grow our audience in
mm.
Japan. And then, after that, after we tour and, build a decent name for ourselves out here, we'll have to start hitting Europe and in America and, other places where the markets are larger. And
Oh yeah. Please come to Europe.
oh, we would love to. We are definitely doing that at
Yeah.
some point.
Are you going to try to like if it's like feels right, are you ever going to like sign with a label or do you still want to just stay like
Well, that's
uh
the thing. Like, I think Sentient, we none of us are opposed. Like, we're not like we're an indie band. We're always gonna be an indie band. Like, we're not like that.
mm,
So, if there was some kind of good deal and it made sense to us, yeah, we would do it. But I don't know. I think, we're not holding our breaths for a deal, and we're not looking for a record deal as like a shortcut or an excuse or anything like that. So
no, no, of course not.
I think, the most important thing for Sentient is, we just want to keep putting out music that we like and that fans like, and we would love it if that would allow us the opportunity to play music traveling the world, playing to our fans. And if we can support ourselves with the music too, like that would just be like that's all we need, really. We don't need to sell out stadiums, or we're not drug addicts trying to party, or trying to get with all the girls at the shows. Like, for the most part, I think we're all engaged or already married. So it's like we're just all about the music. And our idea of a success is,
Mm.
if I can feed myself and my family singing or playing my guitar or the drums, like that's it. I've made it. So
Oh yeah,
it's
that's the life.
exactly. So yeah, we're not trying to be the biggest band in the world, or sell millions of records, but if the opportunity presents itself, yeah, we would love to be the biggest band in the world.
Of course. And to be honest, I mean, studio concerts and stuff like that are amazing. I saw Rammstein last year and it was like the best show ever. But
Yeah.
like shows in and concerts in small arenas or like concert houses are actually better to me. I
Yeah, I
enjoy
mean,
them more because
especially
it feels more personal and you get more
yeah,
engaged with the audience and the bands because yeah, like
exactly.
as after the concert or festival day a few weeks ago, I got to talk to the vocalist of Shadow Intent, Humanity's
There
Last
you go.
Breath, Enterprise Earth. So they are all very friendly and you get to speak to them. Whereas in a stadium tour, how are they going to speak to like 20,000 people? It's
Yeah,
just not possible.
exactly. And especially with a band like Sentient, like again, we don't think about playing live shows as like, oh, it's a job. We just get up there and we play the songs and we get off. Like, we want to have fun doing the show just as much as we want people to have fun coming to this show. So, like I said, it's been a couple years since we played live because of COVID and family stuff and all that type. But before, we were playing, pretty frequently around Tokyo and the surrounding Tokyo areas. But we always had fun, and like it got to the point where I was like, I would jump into the crowds every show, and like if someone was on their phone, I would like tell them to put their phones in their pockets and stuff like that. Like I would in Japan, we got a weird culture of like people will be totally dead silent and not make any noise or anything until the very last song is over, and then everyone claps, and that's like they think they're being polite
Oh.
or something, but it just can feel awkward sometimes. And so you can get good crowds, but sometimes in Japan you have to force them to
Wait, there's
enjoy
no moshes?
themselves.
No mosh pits?
There's mosh pits, but they're not as common as one would hope for, And that's the
Yeah.
thing. I never wanted to be the vocalist that's like circle pit, and everyone just stands still, nothing happens, Like I would die of embarrassment. So I was like, I'm not gonna ask these people to circle pit and mosh. I'm gonna go out there and make them.
Yeah, true.
And so that's something you couldn't do on a big show or something like it's harder to interact with the crowd and get personal with them like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that was actually one of the funniest moments on it was called Hi-Fi Winterfest when Shadow Intent when Ben Jor told us to do a wall of death. That was the
Mm.
most insane shit I've ever been in because think like a few hundred people each side of the room just
Oh yeah.
colliding. It's just wow. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I love Wall of Death, man. That's when bands are actually able to pull off walls of death, especially in Japan, it's awesome. I love that. I would never want to do one, but I would love to incite one.
Oh yeah.
I'm not the biggest mosher. I like watching the show. I don't want to get hurt. I'm kind of a
Oh
wuss
yeah.
when it comes to that.
On metalcore and deathcore shows, I'll
Mm.
mosh. On
Yeah.
hardcore shows, no. Just no.
Yeah, you'll get
You
hurt,
will
bro.
die. You will die.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
mind being in the pits, but I don't like, I don't like being on the edge where I could potentially get hurt.
yeah.
I remember in US when Warp Tour was still going on, I watched like Attila's set at Warp Tour one year, and I got kicked in my head so hard. I
Oh.
was like, I'm gotta get out of this pit. I gotta go sit down for a minute after that. That was too much.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Oh, well, time is running out on our second session now, so I want to thank you so much for doing this. It's been a blast. This has been like my favorite podcast so far, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you for
And
having me, man. I had fun too.
I will link everything that you want me to link in the description, of course.
Awesome,
Just send
perfect.
me everything on Instagram. And I want to thank you guys watching too so much. It's you that pretty much drives me and makes it fun. So thank you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next Demonic cast. Be sure to leave a like on the cast and subscribe to the channel to see the next one. And yeah, peace.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.